Every single time you post something or comment or even just click that like button, you're actually doing a kind of work. It's this invisible, unpaid labor that literally powers the entire internet. So, in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this hidden world and figure out what it all means for you and me. All right, so let me just ask you something, and it's going to sound a little weird at first. Do you work for the internet? I know, I know. Your first thought is probably, no, I have a job, thanks. But what if I told you that pretty much everything you do online is actually a form of work? Yeah, let's dig into that.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We don't see this stuff as work, right? It's just what we do. It's connecting with friends, sharing what we think, maybe just killing some time. But every single one of those actions, every post, every review you write, every photo you tag, it's a tiny little piece of productive labor. And all those tiny pieces add up to fuel this gigantic digital economy.
Okay, so to really get how we ended up here, we need to look at this massive shift that happened. The internet didn't just give us a new channel to watch. No, it completely flipped the script on our role. It took us from being spectators in the audience to being players on the field.
And the difference is just night and day. Think about old school media like TV. You had a few big studios making everything, and our job? Just to sit on the couch and watch. Totally passive. But the internet? It just blew that whole model up. Now, there are millions of us. We're the creators. We're the ones constantly feeding the machine with everything we post and share.
So, this constant river of stuff we willingly create, well, that brings us to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. It's a concept from a scholar named Tiziana Terranova, and she calls it free labor. And what is it? Put simply, it's all the productive stuff we do online, the stuff we don't get paid for, that actually makes the internet valuable in the first place. It's the person moderating a forum, the fan who writes incredible stories, the programmer who contributes to open source code. It is, quite literally, the lifeblood of the entire digital world. What's really fascinating is that the word free here has this cool double meaning. On the one hand, yeah, it's free as in you don't get paid. Nobody's cutting you a check for your brilliant tweets. But on the other hand, it's free as in voluntary. We choose to do this stuff. We do it for the fun of it, for that feeling of connection, for being part of a community. Okay, but hold on. This leads to a massive question, right? If all this work is unpaid, how on earth does it create, the trillions of dollars of value that make up the digital economy? Where's the money coming from? Well, the answer is that our very idea of what a product is has changed. Online, a product isn't some finished thing you buy in a box. Think of it more like a garden. It's a living, breathing process that's constantly being tended to and changed by all of its users. So, think about your favorite social media site. Its value isn't really in the code that makes it run. The real value is the constant live show of all of our labor. All the new posts, the fresh comments, the arguments, the jokes. That constant churn of activity is what makes it valuable. In a very real way, our work, our constant participation, is the product. And this, right here, creates a huge tension, a big debate. Is all this collaboration a beautiful gift we're given to the world? Or is it more like a giant theft of our time and energy? There's a perfect case study that really brings this fight to life: the open source software movement. So, back in the early days of the internet, you had things like freeware and shareware, and they were kind of the cool indie alternative to big corporate software. But then in 1998, something big happened. Netscape, a huge company at the time, released the code for its web browser to the public. They basically said, hey, come help us fix and improve this for free. And that move, it lit a fire, sparking a massive debate that gets right to the very soul of what we're talking about. So on one side of the argument, you had people like Richard Barbrook, and they were thrilled. They saw this as the ultimate example of the internet's gift economy in action. The idea that people would just come together, collaborate openly, and build something amazing for everyone to use. But then you had the other side. Critics like John Horvath looked at the same situation and saw something way more cynical. They pointed out that Netscape was actually struggling, they were laying people off, and from their perspective, the company had just found a really clever way to get a bunch of hobbyists to do their research and development for free instead of, paying their own employees to do it. So who's right? Is it this beautiful new way of working together? Or just a sneaky corporate trick? Well,
The truth is, it's not really one or the other. The modern internet is literally built on top of this contradiction. It's a total paradox. The internet is two things at the exact same time. It is a gift economy, a place where we build real communities and collaborate. And it's an incredibly advanced capitalist machine that's designed to suck all the economic value out of that very same collaboration. Think about it like this. Modern capitalism has this really complicated, almost parasitic relationship with our free labor. First, it helps it grow. It nurtures it by giving us all these amazing platforms to connect and create on. Then it exploits it, figuring out how to turn all our creativity into cold, hard cash. And finally, it often just exhausts it. It uses it all up, which is where you get things like creator burnout, when people just can't keep up because the rewards just aren't there. So we want to leave you with this final thought. This digital world we live in, it's not something that just passively happens to us. We are all active builders. Every single second, with every click and every post, we're constructing it together. So the next time you're online, just remember that. You are a worker helping to build this world. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is all that work actually worth?